can't wait to share them with you. We've had some brilliant questions come through the Q&A Thursday for the email, so ask@teamleadertoolkit.com, and I'm going to share them with you today. I've also promised you the 5 top time wasters that we might find that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, so we'll have a chat about those as well. So remember, if you've got any questions at all, please put them in the comments bar below and I'll be able to answer them for you. Just for the time being, a bit of housekeeping. So let's just make sure that you can see and hear me. So if you can put down the bottom in your comments whether you can see and hear me, I'm just going to check that's all okay. And then we can go from there. All right. Hi, Derek. Hi, Michelle. Hey, Leanne, Jackson, Debbie, fantastic. All right, sounds like we're on. Fantastic. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to share my screen with you so that I can show you some questions that came through the Q&A Thursday email, and we can get into it. Fantastic. I'm excited. I don't know about you. It's number 4 for us. Woo-hoo. Okay, our first question came from Joe. So Joe had a really brave question, and it's one that I think that some of us might come in contention with quite a few times. I've certainly had this myself. So how do we promote change in a team when your direct manager likes to micromanage and often bypasses you as a leader of a department? So great question, Joe. Now, the first step is to understand that your boss might not know that he's actually undermining you as a leader. So what I mean is your boss who provides you with too much direction and micromanages, it may be his own insecurities, uncertainty about what he's doing that's leading that, and it's a bit of a blind spot for him. He may not realise that his over direction and micromanaging has actually, got an impact on you, a negative impact on you. And another example about that is those leaders that have a really hands-off approach and not realise that they're failing to provide any direction or feedback at all, whereas they might be thinking they're empowering you. They're actually, not helping. So what we need to do in your case is have a really candid conversation with, and I'm assuming your boss is a him, it could be a her, whichever it may be. I'll just say he from now on. Then if he decides to work on his behaviour by not micromanaging, it's really up to you to hold him to that commitment. So if you allow, after the conversation and he agrees, and I'll show you what that could look like in a minute, but if you allow him to micromanage, even just a little bit without calling it out, then you're almost training him that it's okay to go back and do that behaviour and continue that behaviour on. Because, we all know learning something new takes time. So you need to support your boss through that transition. So what should you do? Okay, if you haven't had your expectations chat with him, the one where they're going to tell you what their expectations are, and then you've got a chance to tell your boss what you need from them to set you up for success. If you haven't had that yet, then add that to your needs and talk about that in the meeting, and I'll show you how that conversation can go. If you have already had the expectations meeting with you and you didn't get to mention it, then there's no better time than now so set up a 30-minute meeting with him in the next few days, and this is how that conversation could look like. So you could go in there and say something like, thanks for chatting with me today. Remember a few days ago I had a chat to you about expectations. You gave me your expectations, and then I gave you some of mine that I needed, from you to set me up for success. And then in here, give some examples if you want to of those ones, just to remind him about that conversation. Well, there's actually one more that I need from you that I need to add that's really important to me and that you can help me with. So as the team leader, I'm looking at all the time at how I can utilise my team better. I can delegate the task, build their capability. So in order for me to do that effectively, I need all the tasks and information to come through me rather than going directly to the team leaders. The team and I are going through a state of change at the moment. So when tasks are directly given to the team members without my knowledge, then it's difficult for me to keep track of what's going on. And it also kind of confuses the team members with regards to, the reporting lines. So use an example here where the micromanaged behaviour has been counterproductive. So I've just chucked in an example of what that could look like. So when Tom got that task on Thursday directly from you, I didn't know anything about it. And when I went to ask Tom to task him with something else, he got cross. When I asked why he was cross, he shared with me that it had already been tasked by you and he felt like he was getting overloaded. So you can imagine that wasn't an ideal situation. So to set me up for success in the future and allow me to lead the team as best I can you please pass all directions, tasks and information for the team through me? So this will enable me to build my leadership skills and also ensure my team has a good variety of tasks, that I'm leveraging off their strengths and also challenging them at the same time. So hopefully that conversation will go well. It can go one of two ways. So Joe, it could go one of two ways. Now this could go that he could agree, and then it'd be up to you to call him out on it whenever he forgets. So for example, if he tasks someone a few days later, mention to him that you needed that information about the task first so you could go and delegate it accordingly, those little reminders. And then also, when he comes in and gives you the information first or gives you the task first, really show that you appreciate it. So just say things like, you know what, thanks for coming to me first with this because it really helps with my day-to-day running of the team. So you're almost rewarding him for that behaviour. So it'll be easier for him to keep doing that. Now, the second way that this can go is that he could disagree with your reasoning. And if this is the case, you need to understand why. You've got to seek to understand. You've got to ask him those questions. So why does he need to address the team personally? Why does he not want to come to you first? Because those questions are really important because you've got to determine whether there is some trust issues there. And if there are, then that's a whole new conversation that needs to be had. And I can help you out with that if that actually happens. Now, if the boss has agreed and said, yep, no worries, I'll come to you, and you've given him reminders when he hasn't, but the behaviour is not changing, then now it's time to step it up a little bit and speak to either your HR person or another manager that you trust and talk to them about the conversation that you've had. Tell them behaviour is not changing. Tell them about the impact that it's having on you, and ask for their advice of what else you can do. Because if you elicit help like that, then they might decide to help coach your boss a little bit themselves too. So let me know how you go, Joe. I hope this really helps. And hopefully everybody else got something out of this as well, because I think it's a question that can come up quite often. All right, excellent. So let's move on. We've got another one from Derek. So welcome, Derek. I think you're on the line with us, aren't you? Yes, you are. Hi, Derek. How are you going? Okay, so Derek's been a manager for over 10 years, always of small teams. So splitting the time between leading the team, organising the team, and actually doing things has always been a challenge, absolutely. So you asked for my thoughts on that. So great question, Derek. I think one of the biggest pain points for any team leader is the amount of time that they have, or lack thereof, really. So it was a great question to get out there. So I've got a couple of things for you. First off, I want to ask you a question. So what are you doing? So I've got this activity that I do when I do some face-to-face coaching, and it's all around having a look at all the tasks that you do daily, weekly and monthly. And I get them to put it on single post-it notes. So make sure there's only one task per post-it notes. And then I want you to take a close look at them and divide them into two groups. So one group will be, this task creates more than 50% value to your job, and then the other group will be less than 50% value. So this is kind of what it could look like. So there's some pictures there of me doing this task with a group of team leaders. This is down in Tasmania last year sometime, I think. So you can have adds more than 50% value to my job, could be things like your weekly team meeting, your daily operations meeting, your one-on-ones with your team members, because they're really value-adding type tasks. Then the less than 50% value could be the supply updates that you have to be there for, or business updates on a teleconference. Do you need all the team leaders on that teleconference, or could one just go and then tell everyone the information? Those sorts of things, right? So once you've done that, the ones that add less than 50% value, what other ways can these tasks be done? For example, if there's meetings that you attend daily or weekly that don't actually add much value to your job, you want to ask yourself, is it necessary for you to be there? Or is there another option? So can you ask to just review the minutes of the meeting instead of attending? Or can you send a proxy in your place? So be inventive and innovative on what other things that you can do to get that time back. The other thing you might find yourself doing is attending meetings or doing tasks that you can remove completely. So I want you to be ruthless here. So stop attending that meeting that you think is not really adding value. So go and let the organiser know that you've double booked yourself, you can't attend, but you want to see the minutes, or at least have a 5 or 10 minute catch up with that person afterwards, just to see if there's anything there that you really need to know. And then if after a couple of months you haven't missed it, then that was the absolute right decision. If, however, you're finding you're missing some really vital pieces of information, then put yourself back on the invite list and get yourself back on there. But, give it a go. The other one there is determine if the tasks are aligned to the company and department goals. So if they're not aligned to company or department, so if you find yourself on committees or whatever that really doesn't have a good link in to your department goals or your company goals, then have another think about whether you need to be there. And then the last one I've got there is anything that adds less than 50% value. It is something you can delegate to your team members, build their capability with some of these tasks. So what else can you do? So once you've had a deep dive into what you're doing, set yourself up a standard work document. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. These work really, really well if you can organise your daily, your weekly and monthly tasks. It brings you back so much more time. So I've got a copy of one here that I just Googled. I just Googled standard work and this one popped up and I thought, yep, that looks good. Now, I don't know how good that looks like on the screen, but what it does, it breaks up daily tasks that you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It does the weekly ones, it does the monthly ones. So roughly about 80% of your day should be planned on this, right? And then 20% is left open for you to respond to issues that you haven't planned for, or problem solving and all those sorts of things. But on this standard work, you also want to be able to include your work on continuous improvement and things like that in any project work. So block them out. Now, without these tools and structures in place, what you might find yourself doing is digressing to that of a firefighter. So being really, really reactive and putting out those fires like conflict and, there might be communication issues, or there might be customer complaints, or, all those sorts of things. And you find yourself just being really reactive all the time instead of putting yourself in a proactive space so you can feel like you're on top of stuff. So I haven't got one of these in the tool suite yet, but if you find it's something helpful, then I'm going to get my graphic designer to do something that I think is going to work well for you. So have a look at it and see if it's something that you would like, guys, and I'll get something made up, because I don't want to copy somebody else's. I want it to be really impactful for us. So let me know if this is something that can work for you. What else can you do, Derek? So let's have another way. There's some other ways that you can pull back some time. This might sound like a really easy one, and it doesn't mean that you have to have an office space that is perfectly neat and tidy all the time, because mine certainly isn't. But being able to lay your hands on the objects that you need in the moment you need them, believe me, you won't believe how much time this saves you, rather than rummaging through that pile of paperwork trying to find that report you've done, or all those sorts of things. So just see if you can organise your desk space and your office space to be really easy to go around and to get stuff from. The other thing is try not to rely on your memory alone. So whether you use a diary or a calendar, whether that's electronic or handwritten, whatever, every time you tell somebody to do something, or somebody like your boss or peer or whatever asks you to do something, just note it down in your calendar. And then you can really make sure that you're allotting the right amount of time for each job. And this one discipline can absolutely save you hours. So for example, you can have one-on-one put in your calendar, and then you can set yourself up with 50 minutes beforehand to block out so you've got the preparation. The thing about this is you need to be disciplined on using it. So yeah, give it a crack, see how it goes for you. The other thing that you can do, Derek, is delegate where you can. So there's two main advantages of delegating. One, it gives us more time to concentrate on the other stuff. So whether that's your projects, whether the tasks that you've got to be done, or whether that's building the capability of your team. The second thing it does is it gives them practical stuff in the real situations to build the capability of your team. So so there's some really good things about delegation, and we'll go further into that as we go through the Team Leader Toolkit program. But the criteria for delegating is almost like if the task is repetitive, which means it's done on a regular basis, then that can be delegated, right? Also, if the decision can be reversed really quickly and easily and it's safe, that's another place where it's safe to delegate. So just try and have a think about those tasks, have a good look at them and go, right, this one I can actually delegate. So the other thing, obviously, create your standard work. Just have a crack at it. Google that thing, or if it's something that you want to do, I can get the graphic designers to do me one up, and we can get one into the. Debbie, you need this. Excellent. All right, so I'll get this standard work document done up. And I'll get that back from the graphic designers hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and we can get that up onto the tool suite. I think it's going to be really advantageous for you guys because I know how busy you are. I know how hard it is to get the right amount of time in the day to get everything that you want done. So if this helps, let's get it out there for you. And the other thing is, I think as team leaders, we sometimes really find it hard to say no. So I think there's an opportunity here that if we are a capacity, we are absolutely chock-a-block and there is nothing else that we can do, then that is okay. It is okay because you can say no without saying no. What do I mean by that? Right, okay, so you can say to your boss, if they come to you with another project or another task or something else to do, you can say, okay, I can do this. What I need from you is the priority, and what can I drop from my task list to get this done? So you're not saying no, but you're not saying you can't just keep piling stuff up on me. So I can do it, but what out of this other stuff that I'm doing would you like me to stop doing to be able to give me time and resource to get that done? So I know that's brave of you to do, but I think it's a conversation that really will help you to make sure that you're maintaining what you need to maintain with your own well-being as well as anything else. So I hope that helped, Derek. Let me know if there's anything else that I can help you with. If there's any other tools or resources that you think you need, just touch base with me and let me know, and we'll go from there. The other question I had was from Debbie, and Debbie, you're on the line too. So welcome, Debbie. And thank you for your lovely remarks about how the tool suite's helping you and how you're enjoying the program. So that's fantastic. So Debbie wonders if we've got any tips on team engagement. So Debbie leads a team of 13 teachers. That's a big team, Debbie. And they all work at different times and they all have very busy lives. They have a really strong culture and they're pretty good at communication. And what Debbie sometimes struggles with is creating a conversation where they can all contribute. So Debbie poses a question or sparks a debate regarding some aspect of teaching or something else, and often doesn't get any response back. So she's got here often the response is crickets chirping. So is there any tips that I can offer? Good question, Debbie. Fantastic question. So first off, I want to congratulate you for your team. That's a big team and you've got a strong culture, you're great in communications and you've got some really good social interaction. So we need to celebrate that success first. I think that's really great. Well done. So what I want you to do is in your next one-on-one conversations that you have with your team members, so the individual conversations, I want you to ask them a couple of questions. I want you to ask them what their passion is, what gets them up in the morning, why do they do that, what they do. And as they're telling you why they are, just fill out a little table, something like this. Now, I've just put stuff in here that's made up, right? And I don't know if these team members are actually your names. I've just made them up. But as you start to ask those questions, you start to get a really good picture of where everybody's fire is, what floats their boat. Because ultimately, to build engagement, you need to tap into a fire that's already there and build it up. Okay, so we've got Janet, who really loves dance, especially the choreography. We've got Sue, who loves and honors the teaching side of it and loves to see her students succeed, and blah-de-blah-de-blah, right? So you've got now a really good roadmap of where people's passions lie. So once you have this, you can then, the next step I want you to do is think about your team members need to know what are they going to get out of this conversation, what's in it for them. So to put something out there in the abyss that they don't feel like they're going to get anything out of, they'll deprioritise it. So you need to put stuff in there where they're going to get tips or hints or something that's going to make their life easier. So random topics I don't think will work unless there's some sort of, what are they going to get out of it? What's the benefit to me out of this? So for example, if we go back to the table and you can see Sue's passion is loves and honours teaching, Janet's is all about the choreography, then you can say, all right, guys, the topic for the week is I need your help. And this is what it is. So in the past, we've had students struggling remembering the XYZ move in Dance 5. What's some innovative ways that you've used in the past to help the students remember it? And please share your insights with the team so we can all use your techniques in the future. So all of a sudden, you're tapping into Sue's love of teaching, you're tapping into Janet's love of choreography, and everybody else might get some tips and hints out of it. So everybody might have a bit of a vested interest to have a little bit of a crack at this one. So the other thing I want you to have a think about is group talk. So where possible, try and get everybody on a line at the same time. So set like a weekly meeting with an agenda so you can all have a chance to catch up and reconnect. I can help you with that agenda if you want. So let me know if you need to have a look at, what a good agenda looks like, and I can absolutely send that through to you. So you've got some options here. I don't know what sort of IT opportunities you've got in your workplace, but outside there's Google Hangouts now. I haven't had a good play at this, but I know there's people raving about it. There's Skype Business. Now I think there's a cost associated with that, so I don't know if your business if that's something they would do. But speak to your IT people too, because sometimes you can get conference calls and all those sorts of things. So if you haven't done this, I think this is a really good reconnection piece. But the tip for this is have a really good set agenda and have it time bound, because people don't want to be talking for hours. So have we can discuss that further if this is something that you think would help. So I hope that helped, Debbie. So let me know if those things are things that you can take away with you, and we can talk more about it if you need. So how do we go with that? Joe, I don't think he's on the line, but Debbie, Derek, all good? All right. Fantastic. I think we've got a bit of a delay. All right, that's okay. Now, I did promise you, good, I'll have some follow-up questions later. Great, Derek, I look forward to them. All good. I'm glad other people got stuff out of it too, because obviously these are questions that you guys might have as you're going through too. So excellent. Now, I did promise you about the biggest time wasters that I have found over the years with team leaders, and they're ones that we can do little fixes to change. So I'm hoping that we can maybe put these into our workplace as well and maybe get some time back. So the first one, time waster number one, meetings that have no point. Now, do you know what? I've been in hundreds of meetings over the years, and 90% of those meetings fail to produce any sort of achievement. So I have said at the end of the meetings on, multiple occasions, I've asked the people that were in there, so did the meeting accomplish its original objective? And the most answers I get is, I don't know what the objective was. So, you know what, if you say this statement, as a result of this meeting, we will have achieved, and then fill in the blank, whatever that may be. If you can't fill in the blank, don't hold the meeting. So at the start of every meeting that you're going to be in from now on, have this up on the whiteboard, have it on a butcher's paper, have it somewhere that people can read. As a result of this meeting, we will have achieved the 3 best fundraising activities for the Christmas dinner, or whatever it may be, right? So make it really specific, because meetings, now this is a research that I didn't do, this is a research that some people that have got a lot of time on their hands do. Thank you, no worries, Debbie. And they have said that on an average, businesses that use the statement of achievement, which is this one here, find that their meetings end 17 minutes earlier. Now, how good would that be? Think of all the meetings that you go to. If they finish 17 minutes earlier, how much time would you get back? So it's just a thought. And if you are going into meetings that don't have one of these, ask what it is. Ask the question. So say to them, hey, listen, before we start, what will we want to have achieved as a result of this meeting? And make it specific, so that you're not, you're not going down rabbit holes, or people in the room aren't going down rabbit holes and then holding you in there for 10, 15, 20, half an hour after when it was supposed to finish. So that might be one that we can have a look at. Time waster number 2, correcting wrong work. So it's not uncommon to find that you guys are more competent than your team members. I mean, most of you, or most team leaders that I know of, have been promoted because of your technical success and how good you were at doing your job, right? So you would probably know more than what your team members do. What happens is, quite often we get stuck into a routine of fixing their mistakes because we know the better way to do it. Now, this really isn't the best use of your time. So wherever possible, I want you to fight the urge to step in and fix things. And where possible, where it's not going to cost thousands of dollars, it's not going to do someone any harm, so it's not a safety issue, and it's something that can be reversed, allow those mistakes to become a learning experience, because that allows your team members to grow and develop at the same time. Honestly, your time is better spent being a leader than it is trying to keep fixing everybody else's work if you can help it. So just have a think about where you can do that, and just have a crack and see how it goes for you. And it's not just setting up for people to fail, but you're setting up people to learn, grow and develop, which is very, very different. People learn a lot quicker, and it's more retained when they actually learn from a mistake than if they just learn something new. So there you go. The next one we've got is team members that lack the right skills. Now look at this guy, he's leaning out of the window. I couldn't believe this photo when I saw it, I had to put it up there. Anyway, so some of these team members can improve their skills, but only if they're committed to do so. So what you find happens is you end up ultimately picking up the slack all the time. So these team members might have a really good attitude, they might mean well and all that sort of stuff, but they just don't have the right skills. So you're, continuously picking up the loose ends. So what do we need to do here? Number one, we need to work out, what are their strengths? Are we leveraging off those strengths? Are they in the right role to start with? And then I guess the other thing we have to do is there any sort of capability builds or training, or can they shadow someone else to try and learn these particular skills? So if not, you might have to start thinking about writing like what's called a 90-day improvement plan, and utilise your HR person or your manager to do this, because they would have done some in the past. And if that still fails to produce some results, then it's probably going to be a big time waster for a long time, and you need to consider whether that team member is in the right role. So a bit harsh, but I think, we cannot keep running around picking up everybody's slack. You're a team leader for a reason, and that's because you want to grow and develop the team, not do all the work yourself, because otherwise your own well-being is going to suffer. So that's another one that we need to have those conversations about and see if it works for you. Time waste number 4, team members with a bad attitude. Now, who's got team members with a bad attitude? Surely there's none of them around. Unfortunately, there is. Unfortunately, there are a few. And most leaders spend far too much time dealing with the drama of employees with really, really, really good skills, but just a really lousy attitude, which is a real shame. So these people tend to be real masters at a bit of manipulation and a bit of emotion and all those sorts of things, or turning a meeting around with sarcastic remarks, or all those sorts of things, which really is undermining you as a leader. So what can you do? So we really need to, because these members will test you, and they'll become emotional, and they'll try and do all sorts of things to undermine what you're doing. So we need to have a conversation. We need to nip it in the bud really quickly. So instead of getting sucked into it all, keep your performance conversations really short and to the point. Don't be subtle. There's no good beating around the bush here. This person knows exactly what they're doing, and they know they're undermining you, and they're doing it on purpose because they have a level of influence and they just want to build on that influence. So you need to be direct. You need to be really calm. You need to state the facts. You need to be objective and specific. So, for example, this is how that conversation could go. Tom, can you come meet me in my office? Okay, Tom, in last week, in Tuesday's meeting, you made 3 sarcastic remarks. This is not acceptable behaviour. Now, I can't force you to change, but you do have a choice to change the behaviour, or you can keep it where it is. What you need to understand that if your behaviour doesn't change, there will be consequences, and those consequences could be A, B, or C. So I'm telling you now, let's change the behaviour, or you're going to have the consequence. And just let's just stop it there and just say, thanks for coming in, we'll chat later. Now, the important thing here is, if you go to that Tuesday meeting and there's more sarcastic remarks from Tom or whoever I said it was, then you need to follow through. And whether that be your first step is a verbal warning, your second, I think you've just done the verbal warning, the second step would be a written warning, third step could be some sort of performance plan, all those sorts of things. So they need to be nipped in the bud really, really quickly, and short and precise conversations. So time waste number 5 is, and we've talked about this before, is sometimes we just can't say no, and we struggle to say no. You know what? You can say no. You can say no without saying no. That's a conversation we talked about before, just saying, yes, I can do that, but you tell me what is not important anymore that I can drop. You can't have things being stacked on you again and again and again. So if you're at capacity, it's okay to say that. And then work with your manager to help you by changing your priorities or get you more resources and support to get the extra tasks done. Because remember, you need to look after your own well-being. And if you're simply exhausted all the time, you can't grow or build the skills and relationships with your team. And even worse, I've seen it so many times, and it breaks my heart, that team leaders that allow this to happen to them get so exhausted, so frustrated, so annoyed with the lack of support that they feel like they're getting, that it impacts their family life, it impacts their friends, and I just don't want that to happen to you. So be tough, be strong, be courageous for you, because you deserve it. Okay, so have that conversation. All right, that's it. That's the 5 biggest time wasters. So now it's pretty much over to you guys. Have you got any questions, thoughts, queries that you want to have a chat to me about now? I'm just going to turn off my screen share. There you are. I lost you there for a sec. Okay, so any questions, thoughts, queries on anything that we've talked about today, here and now, or anything that might have come up in the last week? Please feel free to comment. And I think there's a bit of a delay, so I'm going to wait a couple of seconds to see what comes up. While I'm waiting, I've got some exciting news, and you might have seen it already. You may not have, but you might have. Our Expert Secrets webinar was held last week, and I uploaded it into your unlocking portal, module number 1 in Discover Me. So you'll see a new tab down the bottom there that says Expert Secrets, and you will see me chatting to our very first expert. And boy, I'll tell you what, she's on fire, this woman. So make sure you go ahead and watch that. I'll do some bit of advertising and stuff to let everybody know about it, but I wanted you guys to know first. If you haven't seen it, it's unlocked for you now. It's in the Discover Me module. And it's right down the bottom. It's called Expert Secrets. So have a look at that when you get the chance. Yeah, she was really good, and she was talking all about the importance of self-awareness, the importance of doing those 360-degree feedback tools, why you would set expectations, all those sorts of things. So the things that are really relevant to you now, the things that you're working through now, this is what this expert had to say. So have a watch of that. I think you will find it really, really interesting. The other thing that's coming is, and there's no questions, Derek might have some follow-up questions later, that's great. So the other thing that I needed to have a chat to you about too is Team Leader Toolkit team is growing. We are growing quite quickly, a lot quicker than I thought we would, but so I've just employed a marketer to help me get the Team Leader Toolkit out there to more leaders, because my passion is trying to create as much support, resources and templates to new leaders or team leaders that might have been struggling in the past because they're getting frustrated, they're not feeling supported, they're not getting the resources they need, all those sorts of things that I've seen time and time again. I don't want that happening anymore, right? So this marketer is going, and he's 18, I could be his mother. Anyway, he knows his stuff, so that was the main thing. But he was really, really clever when I had a chat to him, and I said to him how we want to launch live at the end of July, and I'm going to have testimonials and things from you guys. And he's turned all that upside down, and he said, no, Tina, we're going to launch mid-June. So, and this is what I need from you. So he has asked me to see if I can get any testimonials. Now, I don't want to ask you for testimonials if you're not comfortable to do so, because these testimonials, I want them to be true, I want them to be authentic, I want them to be honest. I don't want them to be crap, I don't want them to be something that people have made up or actors are standing to do. That's just not my bag, right? So if there is anybody out there that feels like they have got value from Team Leader Toolkit, that they feel like it's made a difference to them in the short time they've been with us, or anything like that, then I would love for you to just touch base with us via email. You can go tina@teamleadertoolkit.com, that comes directly to me, or use the ask one, they send it to me anyway. And just say, yes, I'm interested in giving you a video testimonial. What I'll do then is I'll send you out a script. Now the script will be really simple, and I want you to be honest, okay? So the script will be, hi, my name's Tina, I have a team of 12 people. Before Team Leader Toolkit, these are the struggles that I had while running that team. Since I've found Team Leader Toolkit, I've been able to do A, B, and C, and it's really helped me because of 1, 2, and 3. So I'll give you the script at the start, and then you fill in the blanks. So it's really quite simple, but as I say, I need you to be sure that this is something you're comfortable to do at this time. If you're not, that's fine. Let's leave it another couple of months, and I'll just go back to my eager beaver marketer and say, no, we're going to hold off. But I just thought I'd put it out there because he did ask me to ask. So we'll see how we go. Okay, so that's about all I've got for you today. So thank you for those brilliant questions from Joe, from Derek, from Debbie. Fantastic, really, really good questions. Questions that are really relevant to all the team leaders now. So whether you felt this now or you felt this in the past, at some point these would have touched base with all of you. So hopefully you got some bits and pieces out of that as well. And I look forward to catching up with you next week. Now, remember, it's nearly the end of the month. So by the time we talk about next week, wow, if you started the Team Leader Toolkit on the 1st of May, then by the 31st of May, Module 2 will be unlocked. Very exciting. So if you started on the 10th of May, then it'll unlock 30 days later. So it's automatically got a 30-day drip feed. So you will get it 30 days after. Thanks, Debbie, for sure. Brilliant. So I'm really excited that you'll get to do Module 2. So if you've got any issues with Module 1, send us some questions. Let's get those information out to you. So if you send a question through ask@teamleadertoolkit.com, usually I can respond within 24 hours or the next working day, as much as I can. And I'll also put it on the live Q&A feed like I have here, but I will ask your permission to do so because some people just want to be answered to on a personal level, but some people are happy to share because they realise that other team leaders could get some value out of these questions as well. So I'm happy with either way. So yes, so very exciting. So watch out for Module 2. It's all about discovering your team. So you've discovered all about you, now you're going to be discovering about your team. And you're probably going, I know all about my team, but these are different things that you're going to discover. So hopefully it'll be nice and exciting and interesting journey for you. All right, on that note, without further ado, I think it's time for us to shut down and get ready to go back to work. I've really enjoyed having you here, guys. Thank you so much for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. And keep going with that Team Leader Toolkit. Let me know how you're going. Ask me questions whenever you like. All right. I don't think any questions have come through. No, we're good. Have some time back, guys. Thanks very much. And I will see you next Thursday. Cheers. Bye.